Alright guys, TacticalRab back again today. Hope you're all doing well and enjoying your day so far. And the big topic this entire season has been the Huke situation. A lot of questions coming out these last several days. What is next with Huke? After being benched off his team again, questions coming out from Crimsix whether we'll get this video in the coming days. A lot of people discussing what's going to happen with Huke going forwards. Is he going to get a spot back on the Los Angeles Thieves at any point? Are they going to let him go? Will he even go to another esports? And Kenny kind of questioning, does he even want to play anymore? And tweeting your thoughts in the comment section below. Like if you guys enjoy the video, subscribe if you're new as always. I greatly appreciate it. It really helps out the channel. Thank you very much indeed for doing that. Of course, as Crow points out right here, the cease and desist notices that Crimsix talks about now a few days ago, discussing the like, yeah, he's gonna spend 4 hours deep compiling my thoughts on paper. Gonna make a video relatively soon. Patience, Crimsix is talking about. But of course, there's been some absolute chaos this season with Huke. He starts the season as a reigning world champion on the Dallas Empire. Clayson leaves that team to go to New York, and then it only takes a couple of months. They make the first grand finals of the season, right, in stage 1 major. They fall short against the Atlanta FaZe. I'm pretty sure 5-2 in the end of it. But still, I mean, this is the chaos of the season. I think I'll just run through the timeline for you guys real quick if you're not fully familiar with what's happened to Huke so far. So this comes out on the 23rd of April when Huke initially gets benched after some pretty remarkable situation, right, where they beat Paris Legion. Then he gets benched. He of course talks about it in the video that we'll talk about here in a few minutes time. But yes, as Slack says right here, Huke 100% wants to play, isn't out for personal reasons. So seems like Huke at this point certainly 100% wanted to play the game and was benched for performance reasons off the team, as we then kind of finally got the explanation from Hastro and Rambo several weeks after the fact. This comes out on the 4th of May when they initially do, well, they finally do transfer him, right? We thought, okay, are the Dallas Empire just going to try something out? I certainly thought at the time that maybe it was the Dallas Empire thinking, all right, let's think about just having him out of the team for a little bit. Maybe he needs to focus on his gameplay or his routes or whatever, or his comms or whatever the discussion was at the time. We were never clear initially why he was, fully benched, right? And maybe we were thinking, okay, like they'll give him a little bit of time out of the team, then he can come back into the team and then it'll be even better than he was. However, on the 4th of May, they decide to let go of him because he goes over to Los Angeles Thieves, joins this squad, and I mean, this is like the blockbuster move of the season. I thought, wow, okay, this is really going to make Thieves a contender in theory, but all of a sudden, the issues that Crimsix was kind of talking about, the minimap stuff, the route stuff, the comm stuff, whatever the case may be, start to resurface themselves over the Thieves side of things, and it's not too long before he then gets benched after that, because they were pretty good with their TJ squad. Then he comes in, they get worse, they drop him, they bring TJ back in the team. That doesn't really improve them though in the short term at the very least, and then they do decide to bring him back again. So honestly, crazy what Huke's been through. If you guys honestly looking through these tweets just to like piece things together, I was like, wow, this guy's been through the absolute blender, because then he comes back before the stage 4 major, goes to the stage 4 major, messes up his like whole test thing as we talked about a couple of days ago, and now they decide effectively as a repercussion from that, like, look, we're not confident with you being in our team. And a lot of discussion from Kenny that we'll look at here in a couple of seconds, saying like, look, does he really want to play? Because the way he dealt with this whole situation, the fact that he was saying, okay, yeah, I'm focused on my game and not necessarily focused on actually getting a test done and everything that you needed to do to actually compete at the stage 4 major, was showing the rest of the team, like, does this guy actually, is he actually trying, right? Is he on board with the rest of the team? Because there were so many opportunities that, yes, he spelled his name wrong, but there were so many other opportunities after that, as Kenny was discussing, to actually recover from that situation, right? And he could have like turned up at a reasonable hour, brought his ID, they would have been able to get the job done no problem at all and get over that situation. But because he didn't do that, they end up having to sub in Drazah for the major, and doesn't go well against Los Angeles Gorillas, and now they're keeping Drazah, keeping Sasha and Kenny, of course, and swapping Huke out for John, which is a quite remarkable situation. So I'll share a couple of clips right here from what Kenny has to say on the situation initially, but also Zuma's response being like, look, does Huke really want to play right now, and what is next for Huke? What comes after this? A lot of discussion to be had on that, most certainly.
Now, because we need to do this, you have to have it. You can't even play. And he responded saying like he was focused on the game. Like, brother, you're not about to play if you don't do this test.
Yeah, what? That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, and so he's supposed to make the account in the Uber. He gets here, obviously late already, like 40 minutes late or something like that.
Yeah.
And he didn't make the account. So at this point, I'm being told all this stuff, and I'm thinking like, bro, do people want to play? You know, like, and stuff like that. And like at the same time, and this is why I'm gonna go back to what I said about 100T. They want to win. And like, as much as like, there's one thing that has kept us from being on land this whole time, and it is COVID.
Yeah.
And it seemed like Kyler wasn't taking COVID seriously. So at the end of the day, it seems like that equals up to not wanting to win. Like, they take that seriously, and he needs to take that seriously. Yeah. And it's just like, it's so hard to like vouch for people when they don't take seriously.
You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, listen, for me, it's just like, what's next for Huke? Like, I don't know what's next for him. There's a lot of problems with him at Dallas. More problems continue at LA Thieves. He's a world champion. He won the last world champ. So I'm like, what's going on with this guy? Does he even want to play? You know, does he even want to play anymore?
I think he's an amazing player though. Like I think the funny thing is we as much as it was just like a BS type scrim the first day, we actually played well versus Seattle, like really, really well. So I was like really confident going to the next day, like, yo, this is a free. Like I'm feeling confident. We're all playing well. Everybody's frying. Like I'm looking up. Like I'm going to sleep with a smile on my face, ready to play the next day on land.
Yeah.
And then a lot of BS.
And then boom, it all hits the fan. You know what I'm saying? Bro, I lost full for you. To be honest, I lost full for you, and that's frustrating, man. It's frustrating to deal with, but. Hey, you're taking the steps, right? You're making more changes. You guys are...
So especially in light of this that Scump says not too long ago now on a podcast that they did, of course, with Nature. I'm pretty sure this is around the start of May when, this is pretty much around the time that, Nature was signing Huke to his team. And, as Scump says right here, considers himself, Huke and John in the top 3 to top 4 SMG players of all time. aBeZy certainly also up there that he mentions afterwards. Simp and aBeZy eventually be there, no doubt about it. But Huke, like, right up there, right, was a phenomenal player back in Advanced Warfare. Then he leaves out because the age restriction comes into play with the CDL from Black Ops 3. He goes to Halo for a couple of years, comes back to Call of Duty, and finally proves to be worth his weight in gold when he wins the World Championship on the Dallas Empire last time around. So, like, players for so many years have always considered Huke to be, such a highly rated player. But this season has been chaos, right? And despite initially when Huke left the team and he made the video, all the discussion about, a Dallas Empire in the wrong here, what's going on there? And, I think Crimsix said the fact that he didn't put out anything at the time because it might have ruined Huke's chance of getting a spot on another team. He then gets that spot, and similar issues start to reoccur. So what is next for Huke? Do they bring you back to Thieves? Like, let's say they just finish off this season very poorly indeed. Like, of course, they've still got Huke signed. They've still got TJ signed. They've still got Venom signed. They may very well try some other things. If I'm Thieves, I'm not really letting Huke go. At the same time, does any team really want Huke, right? Like, seeing how this situation has transpired this season, I'm sure some teams would get him. But still, right? Like, I'm certainly not paying as much money for Huke right now as Los Angeles Thieves did when they initially acquired him. So maybe if it doesn't go great for the rest of the season, they decide, all right, let's just build our team around Huke. Let's get Huke and Slasher in, or whatever the case may be, and try and make that work. But it didn't really work when they brought him in this season, right? And obviously there's some players you want to build around. Is Huke that player? I mean, maybe not, right, given the other pieces that you currently have on the Los Angeles Thieves. So maybe he goes elsewhere. At the same time, you've got to think, like, what's Huke thinking about this whole situation, right? Does he want to play anymore? I mean, that's kind of been the discussion here, right? Like, was he really trying to actually, make the situation work out? It's kind of what it looks like from some people's perspectives, that he wasn't really trying to actually get there and get the job done. And does that mean he really wants to play? He probably does, but it's still, like, not the best look from a number of different angles. Now, you've got to think about as well the fact that Huke for a number of years also, talked about some other games that he liked to play. This is what Clacer said during last off-season, or it was actually at the start of this season, saying that, like, look, after the 5 versus 5 to 4 versus 4 thing happened at the end of last season, Huke tried to quit and play Valorant to let us 4 stay together. Huke talked about this, I'm pretty sure, on like an eavesdrop episode as well with Hex, that he was like, yeah, I was happy to go and play Valorant, and maybe he's missed the boat on that though. That's the thing, right? If he if like COD isn't really working out and he's thinking, okay, maybe I'll just go and play Valorant or something. Like, Valorant's progressed quite a lot. There's a lot of very talented players over there right now. These last several months have been pretty crazy for Valorant. He may have missed the boat to actually become a pro player in that game, and maybe he wouldn't have been as good as he was with Call of Duty, right? I would doubt he could just go over to keyboard and mouse and be as good as he is on controller, but who knows, right? Some of these kids are absolutely out of control, and Huke is certainly one of them. Now, the other thing is the Halo stuff, right? Because he did leave Call of Duty back in Advanced Warfare to go and play Halo for Envoy for a couple of years. Won, I think, a couple of championships, so did pretty well for that organization. Then came back to Call of Duty. This is his tweeted at the time. Thank you to the Halo community for all the support the past couple of years. Loved every second of it, but it's time to go back to where I started. And of course, in Call of Duty, there's more money than Halo. With Halo Infinite, I'm pretty sure it's called, coming out relatively soon. And other players, the likes of Frosty, right, who was in the Challengers region, who came from Halo to COD, then back to Halo. With players like that doing stuff like this, you do have to think whether Huke is considering options like that. I'm sure stuff like that would be on the table. And if his reputation in the Pro League isn't quite there, then you might be considering options like that if you are Huke at the present time. Now, this is another thing to discuss, of course, because he talked about the whole aBeZy situation, right, where he opened up about his use of it at the World Championship last season, and there were some big questions about this from Akes, and I do wonder if there are going to be any further repercussions, right, because we've kind of seen repercussions from Huke's own team, in the sense that, I mean, his own squad has dropped him, because, he messed up the test situation, and maybe they don't think he's reliable, and, all these types of reasons why they decided to get rid of him and bring Johnny into the team that we talked about a couple of days ago. But I wonder wonder if at the end of the season, now I kind of doubt this will happen, because if the CDL gives some like repercussions, because it's kind of what X is saying right here, like, do they have to, you know, even though they admitted it's against the rules, they've disregarded and turned a blind eye to it, says X, since day 0 before the CDL even began. So kind of, but yeah, at the same time, if the CDL say, okay, like, you're going to get banned for a season or whatever for admitting this, then, you know, how many players do they have to ban, right, for similar, you know, abuses, which I'm sure players would then come out and talk about if the situation does rear its head again. So I think it's still relatively unclear maybe whether the CDL decides to take any action about this at the end of the season, given it is technically against their rules. But it's very interesting stuff. Very much intriguing your thoughts in the comment section below. This just to finish off the video, because I remember this tweet from Joey Nubsy that he did back at the end of April, talking about within the next 2 years, hoping there'd be enough talent in certain regions of Call of Duty to have some kind of World Cup for COD. Would love to see new countries and different levels of passion being brought to light. Let's keep on growing the scene. Now this of course is what Crone says yesterday. If there was a World Cup for Call of Duty at the end of the season, who would be the 4 players on Team USA? Now I think Kevy Skills is pretty bag on the money here, as a lot of people are. You would just put together the Atlanta FaZe, right? That is the problem really with doing a World Cup, is that you'd have to like restrict it to the amount of players you could have for each team or something along those lines, because it just wouldn't be fair. Now like you could have a pretty good Canadian team where you could bring Dashy in, you can bring ILLey in, you got to Simp obviously who's Canadian, you could bring back Karma, you could bring DiamondCon in. I'm sure there's a couple of others I'm forgetting as well, but yeah, the UK team, you could make a pretty solid one. But that's kind of the scary thing with Atlanta FaZe, right, is that you know, the problem is for a World Cup or anything, you just put this squad together in theory, and it's going to be tough for any other team to get the job done there. But intrigued to hear your thoughts on all this stuff in the comment section below. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did enjoy it, I'd greatly appreciate a like on the video. Really upset that you are good to know you enjoyed this content. Other people like you may enjoy this content as well, and I've grown the competitive Call of Duty community. Thank you much as always, take care, and I will see you next time.